Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel, one of the most well-known macro crypto analysts on the entire planet, Raoul Pal, who happens, by the way, to be very pro XRP. He holds XRP. He's betting on a big win when it comes to the SEC v. Ripple case. Well, he believes that one of the most important things to track when it comes to adoption of any cryptocurrency is Metcalfe's law. And I wanted to share with you, and there's an article that was published today that got me thinking about this, just in terms of network effects again, because it's just an interesting way that you can look at historically how actual network adoption to pretty much any cryptocurrency, including XRP, how as that has increased, prices come right along with it. And Raoul Pal, former Goldman Sachs executive who is, again, he's definitely long XRP. He sees it going $10 plus. He actually has shared a chart in the past, which I'll bring up a little bit later in the video, but just proving that when it comes to Metcalfe's law, as applied specifically to XRP, yeah, of course it makes sense. But before going further and breaking this down and explaining exactly what I'm talking about, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And by the way, since we've had a bit of, let's just say volatility, it's called what it is, in crypto lately, a bit to the downside after seeing an incredible start to 2023. I will note that an important level that a lot of chart analysts that I follow said needs to hold, at least to this point has held, as the week has come to a close, and you're talking about Bitcoin staying above $23,000. It technically briefly dipped into the upper 22,000s, but that was very short-lived. And at the time I'm recording this, Bitcoin's at 23,491 bucks. XRP's a hair shy of 38 cents, so barely down from where it was even just 24 hours ago, rather. So was this some big plummet that was going to lead to, Bitcoin finally hitting that $12,000 mark, which is promised by some of the perma bears out there? Well, it doesn't look like it. So we'll see if things go lower. It's not that it's impossible, but certainly watching this. As far as the crypto fear and greed index, we're at 50 out of 100, indicating that market participants no longer in greed, just sitting there neutral. And I did want to point this out too, because Incredible Crypto, very popular chart analyst, few 100,000 followers on Twitter. He's one of the analysts that I follow and respect, and I think he does a good job. He's the only one I'd put in such a category that says that we're going to be seeing new Bitcoin all-time highs this year in 2023. He's the only one, unless I'm forgetting somebody, I guess that's possible, but he's the only one I can think of. And I just got to say, nothing but respect for somebody that is going to put their neck out on the line like that. And I hope he's right. I don't pretend to know because I'm not a technical analysis guy. But I just thought I'd highlight that, and we'll just track and see what happens as the year progresses. It's, when it comes to crypto price action, in a general sense, I try to say never. But even if it goes past that, fine. A lot of people are predicting, yes, of course, all-time high will come, and 2023 probably won't be that bad. But most analysts are saying, probably more like 2024, 2025. And again, if that's the case, I'm here for it. I'll keep hanging out with you as we're getting out of this bear market. I'm not going to stop. My interest is not going away. But again, props where it's due for even putting your neck out on the line like this, because this is not common, and he shares this with such confidence. And so right here on the screen, there's somebody named Ben who wrote, most in this space think we see all-time high in 2024 or 2025. Still think we're on track for all-time highs this year? And Incredible Crypto responded, and he wrote, yup, no change in my expectations. 14,000 remains my untapped, despite the panic/fear, remains untapped. I don't know if I said $14,000 remains untapped, despite the panic/fear/collapses of the last few months. So thesis remains intact as well. So we'll see what happens. Again, I never pretend to know what happens, but that's why I love my strategy when it comes to investing. I just buy stuff and then I just wait. I outpatient everyone else. I just literally, I'm not talking about getting out of surgery, not that kind of outpatient. I outpatient everyone else in terms of just literally buying and doing nothing and emotionally not feeling even the tiniest inkling of being distraught because nothing's happened and I want it to happen. I don't feel anything like that. I feel just as content as when I first purchased crypto in 2017, and I've never cashed out anything into United States dollars, not once, and I'm here for it. However long it takes, I'm down because I could not have more confidence in the long-term viability of the space. So this article here, and this is kind of the meat of what I wanted to get to. This is a new article from the Daily Hodl, and it's titled Important Bitcoin Chart Screaming Bullish for Bitcoin According to Invest Answers. That's an analyst, Invest Answers. And he ends up talking about Metcalfe law, and this made me recall somebody else who somewhat frequently anyway, talks about Metcalfe's law and has applied it specifically to XRP. And again, like I said at the outset of the video, is one of the more well-known analysts out there in the world of crypto is Raoul Pal, again, former Goldman Sachs executive. And he did his research on XRP. He's been following what's happening in the SEC v. Ripple case. He's anticipating to win. He's willing to make that bet now that the XRP price artificially suppressed. And when XRP was a little over a little over $1, he was talking about a tenfold price increase from there. So he's highly confident, and he's been tracking this. And his firm has been tracking Metcalfe's law and network effects in general as it applies to a number of cryptos, including specifically XRP. He's tracked this in the past, and I'm going to show you that chart because I haven't talked about this chart or shared it on the channel in a long time, and I think I only shared it, if I'm remembering correctly, I think only one time ever. But let's jump into this article because in a general sense, what's being shared here makes a ton of sense. Reads as follows. A widely followed crypto analyst says that one important Bitcoin chart points toward major bullishness over the long term. In a new video update, the host of Invest Answers tells his 441,000 YouTube subscribers that the amount of users connected to each other through Bitcoin is a signal that the king crypto will eventually spark a massive run. The analyst brings up Metcalfe's law, which states that the value of a communications network is proportional to the square of the number of connected users in its system. So I'll just pause to admit right here, I never remember the technical definition. I'm like, yeah, it's something about a square, this or that, and I always have to read it again, but it's as cited on your screen right there. Really, the only thing, unless you want to be a technical nerdy nerd about it, which is totally cool, all you need to understand when somebody's talking about Metcalfe's law, it's just network effects. And what it does in terms of adoption is users increase. And so you take that concept, and when you apply it to crypto, it actually works. You can apply it to crypto, and when and I'll get to the specifics, but when you apply it to crypto and you're looking at the number of users on a network, that actually it makes sense in terms of what happens with price action. Now that's exciting to me. Not to get ahead because I'll show the XRP chart. Just give me a minute or two to get through this because I want to do it in order. But you'll see when it comes to XRP, just remember there is real world adoption. There's always new people coming on, and I understand that in times of bear activity, there's for any crypto, including Bitcoin, there's less activity, but the trend is always up. And if you look at the real world adoption and real world utility of XRP, and you understand how early we are in this, if Metcalfe's law, as applied here, continues to take off, and this is just how it works with technology, why would it not? Well, you can kind of figure out what that might mean for price action, and that's why it's interesting, especially for anybody who's even just a speculator in pick your cryptocurrency. But check out here. So here's a quote from Invest Answers, as cited in this article. Basically, I have proven that 83 to 84% of Bitcoin and Ethereum's price is explained by the number of daily active users, the addresses, the network effect. But if you look at this chart here, this one chart makes it very clear what will happen to the price of Bitcoin in the long run. Not hopium, just mathematics. And there's a chart on the screen for those of you that care to look. And then the piece continues. The crypto strategist says that Bitcoin's token supply is dwindling, which, when coupled with rising demand, should cause the price of Bitcoin to significantly rise. And my friends, this is something that I actually brought up somewhat recently, I think probably within the last week and a half. And prior to that, I may not have talked about it prior to that, I don't know if it was maybe a year and a half, because that's the last time I can remember talking about it. But it's this idea of so fine, we all understand on a conceptual level, most cryptos are scarce. And in the case of Bitcoin, yes, it's scarce. In the case of XRP, not only is it scarce, it's programmed to be deflationary, which is even better. It's not just that people lose keys, which what that does for supply and demand. I mean, that happened with Bitcoin too, especially in the early days. It's literally programmed, XRP is to be deflationary. And so when you look at how much Bitcoin is out there specifically, which leads the market, over 19 million Bitcoin have been mined out of a max supply of 21 million. And then you understand that almost all of that is not available for purchase, even though almost all of it's been mined. Almost none of it's available for purchase, because there's huge, like millions of Bitcoin that's been lost, millions and millions and millions of Bitcoin that's held by institutional players, and then retail speculators. And in terms of what's available for purchase at any given time, it fluctuates. But I can't remember what the number is, so I hesitate to make it up. But I believe it could have been like 1, 2, 3 million, something pretty darn low. I would have to double check to be honest with you, but it's almost nothing percentage wise. That's what everybody's fighting for. That's the scraps that everybody's fighting over when it comes to Bitcoin after 14 years. There's almost nothing left. So what's going to happen as demand increases? Because understand, only 4% of humans have ever held Bitcoin at any point in time. 3 to 4% is the best estimates I've ever seen. That's it. And we've already seen it run to 70 grand. Now with XRP, it's even more exciting because it's earlier in its life cycle. It is far less known than Bitcoin, but that to me is exciting because it creates a situation where there is opportunity. So you have that in conjunction with real world utility and adoption. It's like, whoa, we're just super duper earlier. Far less than 1% of humans have ever held XRP at any point in time. It already ramped to $4. Almost anyway, when it hit its all-time high half a decade ago. So XRP, my God, it ran up to that with way less than, that many humans, less than 1% hold. It's just astonishing. There's not even that much. So it's the same is true with XRP. There's not that much XRP available, because even if you had, like for instance, people always like to bring up Ripple, and I say fair enough. You wouldn't bring that up as a critique, totally fair talking point. But even if you're talking about Ripple having none of that and it's all out in the wild, okay, cut the price in half, it's still going to be wild. That's what I think anyway. I firmly believe that that's what's most probable. So I'm not going to make a price prediction. I don't know. It's not financial advice either, but that's what I think makes sense. And that's why this is exciting me. That's why I wanted to talk about this. So the quote here is, the amount of Bitcoin that is up for grabs, that amount on exchange balances and future supply for mining is really thin, and it's heading to zero. The number of on-chain changes is going up forever as long as the Bitcoin protocol survives, and we all know that from Economics 101, as demand increases, the supply goes down. Price goes up. It is the most basic lesson of economics. Yeah, and so all well taken. All of that makes all the sense in the world, and that's why I wanted to highlight this, because this is not the first time that I've talked about this on my channel. It's just been a little bit, since we talked about XRP and how Metcalfe's law applies. But some of you, if you follow me back in March of last year, you might recall this, and this is interesting. So this is Raoul Pal. He shared the following with his almost million followers on Twitter at this point. And this was March 12th of last year. And he was talking specifically about how Metcalfe's law applies to Bitcoin, ETH, and XRP. And he had individual charts for all three and some others. And this was a really long thread. I'm just going to condense it down to this relevant portion that has specifically to do with Metcalfe's law. And I'm going to make the chart full screen, so just hang with me here and I will show it to you for XRP specifically. And Raoul Pal said, "We now know that Metcalfe's law is the key valuation model for digital assets, but it's a hard formula to apply, and I'm a bit of an idiot, so I wanted to find an approximation that helps understand network value. After a lot of work, trial and error, this is the answer I found. The valuation of a digital asset network is driven by," and I'll pause to note for those of you not looking, there are two things that he lists here, and you multiply one by the other, and that's how you come to the valuation. The first thing that you multiply is daily transaction volumes in dollars or units of value. That's the first thing. You take that, and then you multiply that by the number of active users. And then he notes the following. So he covers Bitcoin first. And he says, when you apply this formula, here, I'll make it full screen for you. If it wants to load, I guess it didn't take my click. There we go. Okay. When you apply this formula to digital asset networks, you get a really good fit. Here is Bitcoin. So we applied the model to Bitcoin there, and you can see, looks like it moves pretty well in tandem, almost perfectly, right? And then he says, here's Ethereum. I'll just briefly make this full screen because you guys get the point I'm making here. And then let's go down here, and he says, it even works for XRP. And I'm not surprised he worded it that way, because there are a lot of people that follow him And they were actually, some of them are really upset when they found out that he was pro XRP. Like, some of them are just like Bitcoin maxi trolls. It's just this sons of bitches. Anyway, but here you go. So it does apply to XRP as well. And this chart's going back to 2014. So this is just something that works with technology in general. Of course, it's going to apply here. It's just interesting when you're talking about something that is of value, how to apply it. That's the question. But why wouldn't it continue to? And so that's why I keep saying, when you're looking at real world adoption and actual network users, well, yes, intuitively, if you word it like that, to me, it just kind of makes sense, even if you couldn't see the chart. You could just kind of figure that out. Network effects, yes, and it's something of value. And keep in mind also that for the last, 2+ years, this has continued to work despite the attack of the SEC, despite the fact, I'd argue, that the price of XRP is artificially suppressed. Metcalfe's law still applies. It just does. And adoption do what it does. So take it for what it's worth, but this is just, it's Metcalfe's law, it's a well-known calculation, and it's something that does apply to crypto. And it's just worth being aware of. Because again, that's why I always go back to, it goes back to, you can dumb it down in so many, any number of ways though. So you could word it the way that I like to word it, which is that utility matters and will win the day. So if we are right, and I think we are, about the long-term viability of XRP because it solves real problems for real people and real businesses, well, as that's increasingly recognized, what do you think might occur? And nothing's guaranteed. It's one of the many reasons I'm never going to make a price prediction about it. But the idea of us hitting a new all-time high and entering price discovery, that certainly doesn't sound wacky to me. Certainly not at all. I think that XRP is more likely than not going to be worth substantially more in the future. And we don't know for sure. But what seems most likely at this point? You guys tell me. I'm just saying. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.